Morning, guys.
Good morning, everyone.
Just getting going here this morning. We're going to start in a few minutes, but we're eager to show you what we can automate with FME Server.
That's right. Yeah.
So I believe we're on webcam too there. So
we're gonna wave to everybody out there.
And the last time we asked how the weather was, and that had quite a response, to be honest.
Yeah.
Where do we see that?
That's the chat down the
Chat.
bottom.
Okay. No, that would be
Oh, the questions.
questions, I guess. Questions. Well, anyway, the weather here is rainy. Yesterday was beautiful, though.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. It was 17 degrees.
Was it 17?
Yeah, on the way home in my truck, anyways.
Played a bit of soccer myself there.
Yeah.
Yesterday, that was nice. I can't hear you. Uh-oh.
Oh.
That's always the first.
Here, let's try this. We definitely don't want to do that.
Mic and speakers. Let's check with. Stephanie says I can be a little bit louder. That's my biggest knock, is always be a little louder. So I'll come close to the mic like this, perhaps. How about you? How's Steve, Stephanie?
And the audio is working on this end.
Okay, good.
Okay, Steve is good. So somebody is having troubles with their audio. So it looks like we're broadcasting. So hopefully you can resolve that.
Okay. Somebody says I have speakers but no mic, so you talk and I'll listen. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know about you, but I kept dreaming about this webinar last night. Every hour on the hour, I'd wake up and I'd be thinking of a transformer or a subscriber or something. There's so much going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a busy webinar, and hopefully we show you guys lots of great stuff that you can utilize and automate some different ways of automating things. So.
Yeah, we call it a technical webinar. The intention is to be more deeper of a dive and show configurations and things rather than kind of a high level overview of things. So strap in, because we're going to get pretty technical here today. Well, I think we're getting pretty close, and we can probably start the webinar. How many people do we have? Okay, we've got quite a few in here. And I think we go for it. What do we got there? We're a little quieter than usual, so
a little quieter.
I'm gonna get closer and try and be.
We're gonna get closer too then. That's why we were back there so far. We didn't want to get too close.
That's right. Okay, let's get into this and start this thing off. I think we've waited a couple minutes, and we're gonna kick this off. So what is this? We're gonna automate. How to automate practically anything with FME Server, and that's what we're going to be showing today. A deep dive on the technical side. We've got with us Steve McCabe.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. That's my Movember shot you're looking at there. Actually, you got to start the slideshow. We're not going.
Are we not going?
Yet. Yeah. So you're gonna have to back up now.
I'm going to back up. Okay.
All right.
So there's the start, and then there's us.
Yeah.
Ta-da! So that's Steve. Yeah, with his Movember mustache. Big proponent of Movember here, actually leads that. So that's us, and we're going to go through the agenda. I'm going to hide the webcam actually, so you won't see us anymore. Bye-bye. A little wave from Steve. What we're going to do is we're going to do this introduction here, jump into demos. Demos will be the main part, and then for Q&A, we're going to probably go right up to the 60-minute mark with the demos, and then have a Q&A a few minutes after and hang around for 10 or 15 minutes and just do Q&A. And the whole idea is we'll get you to raise your hand, and raising your hand will signify that you want to be put live on the air or something like that. We'll see how it works. I guess.
Yeah. We're trying to do some audio, so that means it'll be more interactive for you guys, and hopefully less more exciting.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that. And who do we have in the back room? We've got Dean, who's helping out with Q&A.
Yes, Dean. He's there. I heard him earlier. Broadcasting live to us.
He is there. Okay.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Dean. Okay, that's cool. Awesome. We almost want to show you on the screen, but we'll save that for later on. And then we've got Stephanie also in the back, who's running the whole logistics and making sure that we don't mess up too bad.
Yeah, she's the one that's unmuting us and turning off webcams when we forget. And
that's right.
Questions.
She says, "Speak louder, speak louder."
Speak louder.
So
yeah.
I'm just going to speak closer, but For those who don't know Safe Software, we're a Canadian company. I think most of you probably do, but we're founded in 1993. We've got about 100 employees. We always say around 100, sometimes 95. And we're in about 120 different countries. Anything else I'm missing there, Steve?
No, that sounds pretty good to me for a quick overview. Save us some time for demos.
That's right. And what does Safe do?
We transform, connect to data, and do automations.
And automation is the big part about FME Server that we're going to be looking at today. But it's all about breaking down those barriers, right?
And we're focusing on FME Server today, but obviously FME Desktop's a big part of that, the authoring environment for server, and also the FME Cloud now that we have available. So.
Yeah, really, it's a cloud solution for automating data. Yeah, it's very cool. So now we're going to jump into a poll right away and get your blood flowing and ask you, what version of FME Server are you using?
We're just going to launch that, so just give me a second, everybody. There we go.
Okay,
see that on your screen now.
Should we run? How about you, Steve? How many of those versions are you running?
The only one I'm not running is 2011.
2011, still technically supported by us.
Yes.
We support 4 years, in case you're wondering. A little fact there, factoid.
Yeah.
4 previous years.
So we got 36% voted. Okay, come on, let's get you guys voting there for us. I'd like to see higher numbers than that.
I think we'll just give a couple more seconds.
A couple more seconds and we'll move on. All right. There's the 30 seconds. Okay, that's good. So now we're going to share the results. So look at that. We've got 41% you still using 2013, and 33% are on the release. But I'm surprised by the number on the SP1 beta already. 11%.
On the beta, yeah.
More than the 2012 and 2011. So that's good.
That's excellent. We'll still support you on 2011, but boy, that's nice to have you early adopters on 2014.
Sure is.
SP1. Okay, we're back into it. And what does FME Server do within that realm of products that we offer? And it is the solution for automating the running of workspaces. It's really what it comes down to. It's being able to invoke a workspace using cloud, an HTTP REST request, or a JMS request, or a mobile notification coming in, or anything like that. Have the workspace process and modify that data in some way, and then push it back out to some way. And that's what FME Server is.
We're utilizing the power of a server, a higher end box typically than your laptop or your desktop, away from your desktop, which does not have all this fun stuff on the end of it that you can automate your workspaces with. Yeah. So FME Server is a great tool for.
We got some really cool plans for the next release. I don't want to give too much away, but it's going to be even better.
Can't steal the thunder for next release.
Okay, so now we want to know a little bit about your automation and how often do you synchronize and integrate your data? Is it monthly, daily, hourly, near real time, or real time? And it is a multiple choice, so you can select more than one option there.
Poor voice quality.
We are getting your messages about the volume. I wonder if we can.
I don't know if there's much we can do right now. We do test this stuff out regularly, so it's unfortunate that we have different.
I can see what they're saying. There's very low pickup here.
Yeah. What happens if you click on that? Do you see? We'll just have a quick peek. Yeah. So it's just.
It is sure digital.
Yeah, it sounds like you're just having, we just need to talk a little bit louder. Okay, so we've got 50% people voting there, so we're going to close that and share those results on that question. Thanks for everybody for giving us your input. So, okay.
Monthly and daily are the biggest, and that's no big surprise that people want to do things daily. It's very common to 2 a.m. in the morning to go off and do a schedule or something.
Yeah, and I hope if I was asked people what they're using for that daily processing, that they're using FME, what do you think?
I'm fairly confident they'd say yes.
All right, you're back on.
So that leads us into scheduling.
Scheduling. So I'm going to take over here. We have we have this new feature in 2014, and we'll just go to our website.
So while Steve's setting that up, a lot of people want to obviously do this this updates monthly and daily. And so how can they do it? And Steve's going to show you the whole process here, including this new feature for 2014, which is this notification.
Yeah, that's right. So in the past, we had to use Python to send emails with our scripted. So what I'm going to do is take you through this. But basically, in the past, we had to use Python to send out an email from a scheduled job. So first things first, I'm going to show you here that I've got an existing topic. Okay, so you're still going to need that topic. If you're familiar with the job data submitter, the data download service and the job submitter, we've been able to send emails with that for a while now. So we still have a topic created, so that's pretty basic. And then in here, all we have to do is, I've got an existing one here, and I'm just going to bring up the correct one. And that's here. And so it's all the same thing. The only thing that's different now is this ability to select a topic at the top. And that basically, when this workspace runs, when this scheduled job runs and it finishes, we're going to have that. So what we're going to do is create a new schedule. And we have one here. I'm just going to quickly remove that because it was a little test. And so we'll walk you through creating a new schedule, give it a name, scheduled job. Fingers are off. Give it a category, webinar, and we're going to select our repository. So if you've got permissions on the correct repositories, you'll be able to pull that up. I'm going to grab the samples, and then we'll come in here, Austin Apartments. And this is just an example of creating a quick schedule. But here's the key. We want to register with that success. Now, I'm only showing you the success side. The failure would be very much the same. We didn't set up a failure because our job's running successfully here. We're going to select our units for the minutes, and then we'll just give that every 15 minutes. So that's the way it goes. If you notice on the scheduler before, or sorry, on the subscription before, we had an email set up there. So we're just going to say OK to that, and that's being run immediately. I think I had that checked, didn't I? Yep, I did. Okay. So we should get an email here.
So that notified that topic.
So there's a
okay.
Job submitter success. It's
the right time.
It's the right time, but it should be showing the other one. Did I associate to the wrong one? Scheduled job success. Oh, wow. Maybe.
Well, looked like it worked.
Yeah, it looked like it worked, so I'm just going to check the notifications in there. The same one we had, so it should have been firing on that. Yeah, it's right there. So, should have. Oh, job submitter success. Oh, we gave it the wrong name. My mistake on that. So, it was the right one, so it did come through. So, that's how easily you can do that now, and that's running every so often there. So, quick little example there on that. Any questions, please feel free to come back. Next thing we're going to show you, I think we're going to dive right into the we get a workspace here example. And if I go to send on, I'm just going to open up this here template we've got. So this here is basically showing us how easy it is for us to add a custom email content to a workspace, and so right beside our data flow. So down the bottom here, we got a normal data flow that you would have in your regular workspace, and up here in the top, we have our ability to create this custom content. And keep in mind that this here process could be taken in published parameters. So with FME Server involved, you could be passing in, the email from or to this. And if we just open up that, you can see here we've got this stuff set up. So now, if I run this, it's going out to this text line writer, and that text line writer, when we publish this workspace, we'll do a quick little run through on the publishing aspect of it. Published FME Server. Yeah, we need that, and we'll push continue. We'll pick our workspace or a repository. We'll just give it a name. It's going to ask me to replace. But here's where the magic comes in. Underneath the Advanced tab, we're going to set up the notification writer, and that's going to be that text line writer that we see right here. And we just basically associate that to an existing topic that we've configured for this process. And now we say okay to that, we're just going to cancel that. But the idea now, if I come back to my interface, go to that previously published workspace, webinar, and if I just run that, we will get another email to come in to us here in a moment, hopefully. Yeah, and there it is. So you can see that's the one I set up, and it just comes in and says that the job was successful. All right, so I think we're back to Aaron now to take us on to the next wonderful part.
Yeah, so that was great. That was showing how you can create the schedule, but then also hook that in with the email, and then if you want custom email, hook that in as well. So that was great. But a lot of people say, you know what, I want to schedule, but I don't just want one job. I want to have multiple jobs that happen one after another. I got to remember to talk loud, but how can we do that? Well, with 2013 you could do it, but it would require effectively a second engine to make this possible.
And a license. It would take up a license.
And a license. And so people would do Python, all kinds of things. But basically what we've allowed in 2014 is this FME Server job submitter transformer no longer uses a second engine and a second license. It runs within the same sort of, well, license arena, or
process,
I don't know, a process, if you will.
Yeah.
So you won't have to have that second engine. So what you do to set up this, we call it a controller workspace. You set up a controller workspace which has a number of these job submitters within it, and so you build a workflow which then runs your sub workflows. So let's take a look at that.
And some people like to call that controller workspace the parent workspace. So
exactly.
we hear parent, controller, both mean the same thing here in this context.
And this workflow, I'm going to build it up slowly. So rather than start with the final product, I'll build up to that. And I'm going to open up one of the child workspaces, if you will. And this is the child workspace. This whole process, what it does is it loads shapefiles into SQLite. Then the second workspace will actually join those layers together in SQLite and back to SQLite. And then the third workspace will take those layers out, rasterize them into web map tiles, and output them. So that's the three processes. I've opened up the first one here. And all you really need to do in these child workspaces is make sure you've published the source data paths. That's all you have to do. And that allows you to play with the FME Server job submitter. So that's all I wanted to show there.
So provide your own paths to the source data at runtime, basically.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and we'll show that coming right up. Skip that one. Okay, back. Now I'm going to look at the first controller. We got a series of these controllers building up to a final solution. Here's the most simple one. Start with a creator. Come over to this FME Server job submitter. That's that new thing that we don't charge a license for. And I've got two parameters to offer or allow people to indicate or provide the shapefiles for voting districts and properties of parcels. Those go in and will be used by that load data workspace. How do we do it? Well, we come in here, walk through, we pick that load data workspace that we were just looking at, and then we provide it with the published parameters here. So nothing too new there, I wouldn't say.
So this is pulling off the parameters from the previous workspace you're showing here so that we can populate with this information. Is that right?
It's coming from the published parameters here. Yeah, going into that other one. And the key thing here is this wait for server job to complete. Before, when you did this, it would send it to another engine and deadlock.
Yeah.
It no longer does that. It now goes into a sub-process and doesn't cost an engine. So that's a key change.
So a person with a single license, FME Server license, could essentially use this transformer now. In the past, they wouldn't be able to do that.
Exactly, yeah. And so I've got that published up, and I want to run it and show you a couple things about that. So we'll go into here, controller 1, and I'm going to configure it, and I want to upload. I want to add those two files, the source files. Data, can select both. That was a change previously. And for voting, I pick voting. See, I can select the zip.
So you've uploaded it to the interface. Now you're just saying properties. You're going to pick the property source, and up above you pick the voting.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now it's running. It's a controller. It's just the one we saw. It's going to then run that child workspace. I should have limited down to one engine and showed that too, but you'll have to take my word for it. You'll see coming up that it's the truth. In this log file, this is a key thing I want to show. In this log file, we'll scroll down until we see a certain line. We see this line here, and this line indicates that, okay, now I'm going to run a child workspace, load data, gives it all the parameters, and then we actually see the log from that child workspace show up in here. And this, Steve just showed me this yesterday, that this is actually the interface that puts these log files together.
Yes.
On the hard drive, on the disk, they are still separate. So
yeah, they'll be separate, but they'll be underneath the same job number. You'll have a 0, 1 attached for any job submitters that go below that.
Yeah. And so there's what looks like the end of the workspace, but in fact is just the end of the child workspace. And then we've logged out, and here's a key new feature of this transformer for this release, is it will record the path where it wrote that data to.
This is a temporary location, is it?
It is a temporary location. It's temp percent on Windows, and that is a location that is, we write the data there. We don't clean it up though. This is a key thing.
Okay.
We write it there and we leave it there because next processes along may need to use it.
Right.
So that's something for administrators to be aware of.
Yeah. Yeah, so when you're doing this job workflow management, it's key there that we will persist the data with this particular transformer, and therefore you do need to do some housekeeping from time to time just to ensure that you're keeping the data down. We are looking at ways in the next
release
coming
that
releases
won't be
we're
the
going
case.
to manage that a little differently. But
absolutely. Next release, one of our big pushes is no more log files and temp file buildup, and we're really going to take care of that problem. And it is a problem, we found out. So let's keep going and let's look at the second controller. So this is now continuation of that last workspace. Now we've hooked them all together. Why did we write that data out to that temporary location? Because at this point we're kind of like, well, I don't know why you would. The reason we did it is so that you could easily link it into and chain these workspaces together. So here I've got that coming out, output, a data set, the path. If I come in to this transformer and walk through it, now I'm selecting the process data which joins the two tables together. If I come in here, here is where I'm indicating, again, the source for that workspace.
and that will be the temp location we just written the past job submitter data to.
Absolutely. And so now we're getting the idea that actually it's really easy to chain these workspaces together, whereas if we wrote it to another location, it might have been harder. So that's a key thing, that in that workspace, no matter where we told it to write, we're going to overwrite that location and put it in that temporary directory. And we continue and we chain it along all the way and do the same thing with the one that rasterizes and create the web map tiles. There we go, using the path again. It's really easy to select. You just go like that, path, indicate which of the writers it is.
Because you might have multiple writers.
You might
in
have
your
multiple
workspace.
writers,
Yep.
that's why it's a list.
Yep.
Yep. And that's how you can create the controller. So, but that's not the end of the
That's
story.
not the end of it, no.
Let's go back to
We
that.
got some great stuff to show here.
It continues. And actually, we've got a course going on right now that's gonna, day 2, we'll go over this.
They will be starting in about 10 minutes. That's
Oh,
right.
Okay. So there's that, and we'll keep going. We showed that. We showed the chaining. If you do have failures, and for example, I didn't provide the files, the shape files in the web interface, that load data job would fail. From there, we could then send an email. Maybe you're doing a directory watch or something like that, and the files are not in that directory, or who knows. You can then, from the fail, go off and send an email, kind of like you were showing earlier.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's one way to deal with it. One thing we didn't show is how you deal with the final output. So if we flip back to this workspace, it writes out PNG files, but it only writes them to the temp directory. So where do we want, we need to actually put them somewhere. If it was a database, no problem. It would write to the database,
Right.
and we would be done. But since this writes to the temp directory, we need to deal with that output. Let's go and see a way of doing that. Nothing too crazy about this next step. It's basically a file copywriter. So if I scroll over, instead of a logger now, we've got this file copywriter. In the attribute creator, we're saying put it in a directory called temp tiles, and where's the source coming from? There's that
There's the
temp-
path again.
temp
showing
path
up.
location.
Yeah.
Yep. And in the file copywriter, we're saying put it in C, put it in the temp directory in something called tiles, and that's it. So then now those will be copied out to C temp, Could be a UNC path
Yep.
though.
That's right.
Doesn't
Somewhere in the
have to be.
network.
Absolutely. So that's how you can deal with that. But what if you wanted to get really crazy and you wanted to upload to S3? So S3 is this cool location for for basically serving out content over the web. Let's go and I'll show you. I'm going to go up. I'm going to do some fancy stuff here. I'm going to log in.
I'm glad you remembered the password. I was going to log in this morning, but I couldn't remember the password for you.
No worries. S3, look at all the Amazon services. They're adding so many all the time. The clouds, it's extra cloudy.
We're really
Yes.
seeing a big increase in cloud usage for people storing data, and obviously now with FME Cloud, people are interfacing there. It's great.
And we even serve our installers out of Amazon's cloud.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep going. Let's open up a controller number, well, must be about number 4, I'd say. Yep, there it is. Up it comes, and what do we do over here? Well, how about if I run that demo first? Before we get into it, let's actually just run the workspace, and that'll be fun. Repositories, in we go. Controller number 4, configuring it again. Now I could add these files again, but instead I've already uploaded them to this new resources location, and I'll show you more about that in a second. There's a data directory. I'm going to kick this off, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so running that workspace, that's the one that sends the S3, sends the files up to S3. We're going to see them show up here, and we're also going to get an email about it too. But while that's running, I wanted to show you back there, there's this new resources area that I selected those files from. And that's because I'm continually using that zoning and that parcels layer, so why not put them in a persistent location?
Right. Easy to find.
Exactly. And so all I did was I came to this data directory from the interface, clicked upload, and I dragged my 2 files up there, and boom, they're there. I could now select them from the web interface, as you saw, and you can select them in your workflows as well. We're going to show more of that coming up.
We'll just make a comment about the sound. Looks like we dropped audio for about 10 seconds, so that was a webinar or GoToMeeting issue, we think, unfortunately. So we're back.
We're back.
Broadcasting. Oh, look at that. Here's your email.
Your data is ready.
I just yelled in the mic.
Did you yell in the mic?
Yeah.
You're so excited.
Yeah.
So your data is ready. And here, if we go in here, what is it? It's a list of all the files that previous controller workspace had effectively written out.
We've got the links down the bottom there in the email. We can see, and there
It's
it
a
is.
link to
Yeah.
S3. And if we come along here, there weren't anything before in that bucket FME tiles, but I think if we refresh, we should see there are the files. They've returned. So there are the files. We get them via email. The user doesn't have to know about this part, but they get an email with the S3. They can then put that into a web map or do whatever they wanted. There we go. So how did we do that step? How did we actually do that? Well, let's now look at the controller. So here's the controller for this one. Before we're doing the file copy, this time we're going to use the S3 uploader. The S3 uploader does files one at a time. We tell it the bucket to go into, FME tiles, which we saw there, and we give it the source path. But we have to give it the source path of each file itself.
Right.
Whereas this transformer is only writing to a directory. It's saying, I'm going to write a bunch of PNG files into a directory. So we need to find out the directory, the contents.
And that's where the feature reader comes in.
We use this handy feature reader, and we use something that's not that common. We use the directory and file path names.
This is new to me. I only learned about this when we were preparing for this webinar, so this is great.
Yeah, and literally you're just saying, look at this directory and give me the file names. So the file names come out, and then we send that on to the S3 uploader, which that does the actual upload. Then we're going to create the email that we saw there. And literally that email is your files are now available, a bunch of sub stuff there that says, here's the URL that comes out of the S3 transformer, and you can upload it, and there's the file name. And so you can go and get it. Send out the email, and then we send it out to a topic again, and that topic has a subscriber just like you showed, an email subscriber.
To work with an FME server, or sorry, with an email service of some sort. Yeah.
With an email service, exactly. Google in this case.
Yep.
If you just want to upload the whole directory, and you don't care about sending links or anything out there, you can use
We
the
can do that
notification
too.
service. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'll just show that that final controller. And you don't have to use the workflow management in conjunction with this S3 stuff. It's just I happened to be building it, and I kept adding on and on and on. So here we are going, and what do you have to provide to the subscriber, the S3 subscriber? You need to provide the local source, and then it will take care of the rest. How does it do that? Well, you publish it up there, or you specify it goes to this S3 out topic. Now that's the magic, is the S3 out topic. We go up and look at that under notifications. So before we weren't using the notification service except to send the email. Now we are using the notification service to do the S3 upload.
And is this something that's new in 2014 as well?
S3 I think might be new.
Might be. Yeah.
It might be new in 2014. But here we go. We're saying, okay, go into the FME Tiles 2 bucket, and we actually provide the path of that directory, and it uploads the whole directory. And the end result is a tiles directory with a bunch of tiles inside it.
Oh, that's great.
So two ways of doing one advantage of using this method is it won't hold up the engine. So if you've got some really big data, like hundreds of megs, push it off to this subscription service, then the engine is freed up, it can do its own thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's continually holding.
I think a lot of times in the past we used to use an engine to do this sort of stuff, like
Yes.
FTP kind of example or something like that. But now we're offloading that onto its own service, so we don't have to utilize an engine for that. So it's,
Exactly.
all right.
Okay, we're going to keep going on, and we're going to talk about what does this thing do?
Directory watch. I think it watches a folder or a directory somewhere.
It does.
Right?
It does indeed. It watches a folder, and it will then tell FME Server, notify a topic that there's a new file there, or a deleted file, or a modified file.
Okay.
It does all of them. So we're going to do a demo here, and what does the demo do? Well, you upload a DWG file. FME Server detects that, brings it in, writes it out as a shapefile. Then it sends an email out to you that has a link to go and download that shapefile, and it's zipped up.
And that is something that's also new in 2014, the Directory Watcher.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it sure is. All right, let's go and do that demo. So I'm going to use the resources directory. I'm going to use all new stuff for this. In the temp directory, I've got this is one of the directories that we offer, or resource folders, if you will.
So these folders here are actually making a note on this. If people are wondering, this is configurable in the FME Server config file.
Yes.
And points to, so you get multiple folders in here, all pointing to different locations, and then we'd have access from the interface.
And this one in particular, you were asking about this yesterday. This one is a UNC directory. So this allows us to now browse our file system and our UNC network share to select things from the web interface, and rather than having to type in UNC paths, you can now select files, and it's a much nicer experience. Okay, there is a tutorial on this, on all of this really, on FME,
that's right.
FME PDA, and we'll talk about that later. But in this directory, I've got a few different folders here, an input and an output. I'm going to upload a DWG file into this input, and I want an email sent to me with a link to that shapefile. So let's go and do that.
You want to get rid of your output?
I will
Yeah.
use a different.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. Where are we? Directory watch, data. I've got 5 different ones, so I can choose just to show you. So here we go. K25. I didn't have a K25 zip before, but you'll see when we go back there I do.
And
job submitter success. Looks like your schedule is still working.
yeah, still running away, and there's yours.
Conversion complete, and there's a link I can click and download. And if I open up the location in Finder, we're doing everything in Mac this morning. It's kind of a fun experience.
Which is new in 2014, FME Desktop on the Mac.
Yeah, it's all new this morning.
Yeah.
And I have some sort of strange issue with unzipping on Mac, so Mac's not perfect, but there's the directory, which is a zip file turned into a directory, and there's the parcels and labels out of that DWG file. So that's how you can do that. If we look,
It's pretty slick.
it is. It's, I didn't have to do much more than just drag a file in there.
Yeah.
if I refresh this page, go down, I will see it's actually put into this directory. So there's a couple things I need to go over to show you how that all works. The first step is watching that directory. How did I do that? Over here in notifications, it's a publication because it's an incoming data set. Convert tool, in here I said, okay, I want to use the directory watch protocol, and I want to use one of these resource directories here, and I pick that one, hit OK, and that's enough to say, okay, I'm going to notify this topic here, convert tool topic. So then we go to a workspace. So let's go and take a look at that workspace.
All right.
Okay.
We got that up.
Here's the workspace. It does a bunch of things, but the first thing it does is it receives a message in here in JSON format that says, here's a new file I found. And we flatten that out using the JSON flattener. And the thing that we really care about in there is something called dir watch publisher content. There's a couple of notifications that come in. One says entry create, one says entry modify. We only care about the create notification. We're going to use that as our kind of our indicator that there's a new file.
Yeah.
From there we go on and we extract the different file names. This is kind of interesting. Pull apart the file name so we can have the file name and the directory path and all in different attributes. Makes it easy to come in here and then send that source data to the next workspace. So this workspace, what does it do? It converts the shape file or the DWG file to shape, zips it, and then guess what we get out the other side? We get out that list again, that output dataset list. Where is it? There it is, output dataset path. We're going to use the file copy writer again to move it into place. But this time we want to move it into a specific place. We want to move it into the resources folder. So if we come back, we're using publish parameters and stuff, but if we come back and look at file copy, this is a key piece of identifying that new resources folder. FME shared resource temp, this publish parameter will identify, if I come back and
again, that parameter is the one that we've set up in the FME server config file, so it's available to everybody.
That identifies this folder here. So that folder there is identified by that publish parameter, as Steve said, set up in the configuration file for FME server. So we're saying write to that directory, and then we're using a publish parameter here to say write into the convert tool output directory. So that's where it's going to write, and that's where it did write. And that's what this file copy writer does. So that's how we write it to the resources folder. The next thing we do is we actually email the user. And how do we do that? Well, you can get at all these resources through the REST API. So you can upload files, you can download files, everything you want. And again, there's that macro, FME shared resource temp or publish parameter, if you will. There's the output path, the name of the file, and then we've also got a token in here. So that's how we authenticate. We give that token right in the email. And again, we do the email here and out to a text line again. So
Great.
Steve showed that earlier, and I'm going to show both of those steps again, because the question is, how do I get the directory notification in here, and how do I get the email to send out of here? Because it seems like a strange kind of jump to understand that. So let's publish it up, and the main thing is just showing you that connection. Okay, sure. And here, it's kicked off by the directory watch, which means it's going to be this notification service that it can pay attention to. In here, we're saying, okay, when the convert tool topic gets a new message, I want to send that in and start this workspace and send that message in to this reader.
So that message could contain attachment locations, that sort of stuff.
It's exactly how an email might be done, for example. So then when we're sending it out, this is the same thing that Steve showed earlier. You send it out to a certain topic, you specify this text line writer, and that's how you make the connections between the notification service and the workspace. So lots there. Hopefully you're not too overwhelmed, but I think it's going good so far. Okay, so did I miss anything there, you think?
Yep, we just had a request maybe to slow down on our mouse clicks and screen switching. I guess we're really
going fast.
Yeah, we're going fast. We are
okay.
This is why we're recording this, so we can watch it later and slow it down and talk really slow.
Absolutely. So that was that demo, and we are going pretty fast. I apologize for that.
Yeah.
Here we've got an example. Right now you can't use the directory watch with UNC, which is we realize a lot of people have kind of said, hey, that's
really
how I want
yeah.
to do that. We've got a person working on that right now. We know it's possible, and so just as an example of how that might be used, once you have UNC possible, you could. A person wrote in with this scenario: monitor a bunch of directories with CAD files. You modify some of them. You make a recording or a to-do list of which files have been modified, and then you're going to send those files to your GIS database with a schedule. So you can schedule that up and send out and synchronize those two systems. So that's coming up. Probably didn't make it for SP1, but probably SP2.
If I was a betting man, SP2.
Okay, now Steve's going to come back in and
all right.
take it away.
Yeah, so we've got the next thing we're going to show is the email data. And essentially, we're going to be sending an email in to FME Server. That's going to do some validation to the data. We're going to spit that back out. Either if it's passing validation, we're going to get an email back containing an HTML report telling us what we need to work on in the attachment, which was a CAD file. And then if it does pass validation, we're just going to write it into the FME Server database and notify the user that we've done so. So we're just going to click on this link here. It's going to take us to this demo. So there's a couple of working parts here. So we'll just run through it. First off, I'm going to get this web page here is available to everybody, and essentially it's just a way for you guys to kind of get familiar with the demo. You can download all the workspaces associated to it and configure it on your own systems. This is a public system that we have up, so we'll clean up the database just to kind of get it refreshed. We've already downloaded these two example data that we're going to be using, a bad file and a good file. Both are going to be validated, and we'll get different responses. And this is the email address we're going to be sending it to, so I'm just going to copy that. And then we'll go back to FME Server. So the first thing I'm doing, pretend I'm a CAD developer. I just finished working on my file, and now I'm about to send it in to this FME Server service and validate the data. So we'll just go in here, and I got automation webinar, and we're going to go into where I've stored the file. So we're going to send our bad one. We've identified it as being bad. We want to show you that it does work, and it validates the bad file. So that's been sent. And we go back here, and we should get an email in a few minutes. So basically what's going on in the background right now, FME servers receive this email on a publisher. It's notified a topic, it's hitting a workspace, and there's some validation happening to that workspace, or to that data. Taking a little bit longer than normal. That's always the way.
And this is the part where I'm supposed to say a few things.
Yeah.
Usually by the time I just say that, that's enough.
That's enough. Yeah. we always get nervous, but it always works. But it seems a lot longer than it normally is. So as you can see here, we've got an email back. It's run through the validation. This particular workspace that we'll show you in a minute. We're going to download that HTML report that's come back. We'll open that. And here's the report. So anybody can take this information and do some fun stuff with it. In this case here, we're showing areas of the problem digitized area. So in this case, it looks like the designer or the AutoCAD developer didn't update some of the parameters for the diameter, didn't update the attribute diameter.
Yeah.
And so we're missing some data there, but we also do some geometry validation in the workspace as well, and we can locate some bad geometries. So maybe the developer was falling asleep while he was digitizing and created himself a kickback and didn't even realize it. So that's an example of what we can do in that kind of report. So next what we're going to do is...
Wake that developer up, or wake...
Yeah, he's gone, oh, darn it, did it again. And what's great about this is we're tracking all these failed attempts of trying to load this data so we can give him reports at the end of his job. I'm just joking about that.
It affects his pay.
Yeah, it affects his pay, his performance. And so now we're going to attach the good file.
So he's fixed it all up.
He's fixed it all up. And now we're going to send in the good file. We'll go back to our inbox, and there's another part of this that's happening too. We hope, and sometimes this takes a little bit longer, but we'll get to, I'm just going to pull this off. And so this application here right now is actually listening to a WebSocket. We're going to show you that workspace as well. And that WebSocket is set up on FME Server. When it gets this data, it's going to start loading it in there. So you can see right there, it just started piling in on our screen. That's all the live data being loaded from that file we just sent in. And so if we go back, we can see that we've got a success where we've loaded that data into the database. So that's the other part of it. We're loading the data into the central database, and on that central database, another part of it we're going to show you here. We're getting close in time, but is basically we're involving some database triggers and functions that are actually calling a workspace, hitting a topic, and populating the WebSocket's port to transmit data out. So let's go look into that folder. We've got a lot of workspaces open.
Lots of workspaces.
It's a good thing you got lots of memory on this puppy. All right, so let's go real-time data. And we'll come in here. And the first workspace I'll show you is kind of the meat of it, which is where we do the validation, where we do the data loading when it's successful. So here we go. We've got that, again, that text line reader here. And that's the one that's getting the information from the notification publisher service, which probably show that. Yeah, we should show that. So
how do we get the email into the workspace?
Oh, we can't show it unless you can remember how to log into it.
We can create a new one as an example.
Yeah, sure, that's a good idea. That saves us some time too. Oh, go back to there. So if we go to notification, basically all we've got is a publication in here, and it's just an email publication. So we just select that. We give it a name, and that's the key. And that's what we are using in our email to basically send to that user. So, oops, we don't have them there. But that user there, that CAD water. So on that particular server, we would have had a CAD user in here, in there as that.
Okay.
And so we give that a name, any name, and then we select a topic. And that's the topic that's going to be associated to the workspace that we've published up, which in this case is this workspace. And then the source data that Aaron showed a few times, those parameters are coming off there. We can pull out the paths and pass that to, in this case, to this text line reader. We flatten some JSON. It's basically coming in as JSON. And from there, we can open up and go get that attachment. And
so it's a list. There's a list of the attachments.
That's right, because it could be multiple files that we could be reading from there, passing that through, and then up here is where we do our validation on our data. We have a geometry validation area, and we also have the testing attributes for, like, say, empty attributes are not set. If we have a failure, we definitely go and create that HTML report, and that's where we do all that kind of fun stuff. And then we send out our notification. If it's all successful, then down at the bottom here we have the other part of it, which is where we load the data. And so we've got this feature holder here that kind of lets everything happen up above, gets all the validation done before it actually loads the data into the database. And if we have a delete on the database, then this is where we would do that, and then writing it out to the database would be done down below. And again, this is just writing into a database. We finish up with another report building. And if I do our little trick here, which we can scroll over here a little further, and this is where we're sending out that last notification that sends back that email to us. So pretty nifty thing. So that's the first part of the flow, where we send the email in. This workspace is doing all that, validating, loading the data if necessary. And then the next part is how do we populate? Did I close it?
Those two. Oh, they're just in the back.
Oh yeah, I separated it. So the next part of that is how did we get this to all come in? So just stay with me for a moment here. We'll get to that. I'm going to open up another workspace, and this workspace is kind of the end part of it. Basically, we go back into the database. We have what I mentioned, these triggers. I probably should just bring those up now. I was going to try to flow it a little differently, but this is the table in the Postgres database. we have a trigger on the table, very simple trigger. Basically, all it's doing is it's hitting a function. Oh, there's the trigger there, and this is the function up here. But basically, we're loading it into a temporary table, and then this function up here actually gets hit, and it runs, and it sends a request to FME Server. So there's the FME Server request going out to a workspace, and we're sending it the min ID and max IDs. So that's a range of data that we've just loaded into this database.
So telling it, you should select this information, it's new.
This is the new information, yeah. So we go back to here, and that's how this SQL creator knows what to query in the database. It goes and it grabs all that information, and we just basically get it ready for the web. So it's possibly in another coordinate system. We're going to make it LL84 for the KML that we're the Google Maps that we're sending it back to, and reprojecting the data. And then down here at the bottom, basically, if there's no data found, it'll rerun the translation, and it just keeps going over and over. Keeps pushing out on that particular port, a WebSocket port, that we can see everything. And there's the WebSocket sender right there. So any port we can define there, and that's
a new thing for 2014 is we ship a WebSocket server with FME Server. So before you had to use Python and things like this, we've updated this demo, and we've got a tutorial on FMEpedia on how to work with WebSockets.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about that one. Yeah, okay, so we're out of there. We got that. So there's lots of fun things you can do there. You may have noticed on the top of that page, we're working with GitHub now,
yep,
with some of our demos for FME Server. That's been a fairly new thing here. So let's go back to the slideshow. So we finished that one off. We showed you the email processing part of that.
Oh, did you want to show something new? For SP1.
Oh yes, that's right. That's thanks for the little memory poke. So in SP1, which we're not using that. We're using the release in the in this particular demo for the most part of it. But we have a new notification publication service that I think a lot of people may be happy about. So yeah, traditionally we've shipped an email service relayer with like a James emailer with FME Server, and so basically you had
to open up a port in your firewall to get the email.
That's right, but you also were limited to your servers that could run it. You pretty much had to be a public server with a .com address, so you could send this email into it. You could do it internally, but there was a lot more work involved in it. And so what we found was that was kind of cumbersome to set up. The security was an issue. You had to enable the SSL on it and go through that, get some security stuff. But what we have now, we've implemented this IMAP service. So now you don't really need to rely on that James relayer emailer. You can just come in here, configure an IMAP service, and in this case, we're going out to an FME server at Gmail, and we can get that data. Any email coming in there, we can download the attachments when we receive that email. So that's all new in SP1. We've not actually been playing with it too much, but some of the guys here have.
I think it's in the training course as well.
Oh, really? It's made it in the training course already? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. So look forward to that in SP1. I think a lot of people that are using email with FME Server are definitely going to be excited to see that in there. So yeah, so we showed you the database triggers. That was the little piece back there. Now we get a poll question that Aaron's going to launch up.
I'm launching that thing up, and we've looked at a lot of different triggers for automating, and we're interested. Which one are you excited about? Which one are you most excited about using?
I don't know. For me, I'm excited about them all. Like, this is pretty cool stuff.
I guess you can select more than one, actually.
Yes, that's right. I'd select them all.
Yeah.
The scheduling thing was a big one. Getting away from Python in there. There's no more Python needed to do that.
Yes.
The scheduling. A lot of people have schedules set up to run jobs.
Very popular. I love the email one myself. It's very cool. Yeah. Okay, I think we're going to close that poll and show the results. So close and share. And database triggers. People love the database triggers. Wow, look at that. And the directory watch. You know, I often think of the database trigger as almost like a feature watch.
Yeah.
Whereas the directory watch is a whole file watch.
Yeah.
and no surprise, people are quite excited about scheduling.
Yeah,
So,
and really, in reality, they're all pretty popular. So
absolutely. Okay, we're gonna continue on, and you got a few minutes.
Oh, we got a few minutes. Well, this is going to be. Let's bear with us. We got to do a little technical switch over here. We're going mobile, so let's set this up. What's that?
Probably got like 2 minutes.
2 minutes. So this is going to be a very quick demo.
We want to show you, and Steve's going to hook this up, but we want to show you just how you can send notifications from a workspace and also from a REST API. And he's got, what do you got there?
I've just got my Apple, my iPhone 5 showing up here on the screen now. So we'll try to get this going here. And now what I'm going to do is open up a workspace. Let's go back here, demos. And we've got mobile, and we've got, it's not in there. Why didn't it sync up? Oh, that's a bummer. We were relying on Google Drive. Let's just see something here. It should be.
We're working on a machine or two here.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. It's not syncing up, is it?
Something's not syncing, but
that's.
Can you work from the REST API?
No, maybe it's in here. There we go. Oh, that's not it. That's got to be the one. Yeah. All right. I'm brain farting. Sorry, everybody. So delayed there. So. Okay, so a very simple workspace. You can ignore some of the noise in here, but we're going to focus on very quickly on this top one here. Basically, what I got is a service on our FME 14 FME Server 14 system here. We're just going to go to notifications, quickly show you what's happening here. But we have a topic existing, and if I come down here, we got this new protocol, Apple push notification. We deliver with it this key store file. We won't get into that, but here's the device ID of my particular phone. And so now I can come back to that workbench and I can run this, and I have to.
I'm going to zoom that in while Steve's working with the phone.
Yeah, this is it's a busy demo.
He's sending out through the notifier. He's going to notify this sample topic. Okay.
So if you come to here, we'll get rid of that. Oh, Pittsburgh coach, it's got something going on there.
Something going on with the hockey.
And if I come back here, we should see a notification. So there's an FME alert coming in. So pretty simple way to doing it. We have another demo, but I think we're going to pass on it. It's actually going through the REST API. Sends a little bit more.
Maybe show that REST API, and we'll just. That thing is so slick looking. I just got to see it.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good idea. Let's go to the REST. Here's the. We'll just take you to the top, but here's the new REST API for FME Server. It allows you to be able to interact with FME Server's API and do some playing around testing and seeing some of this stuff. So we've got a token already loaded in there.
Oh, that's probably.
Yeah, and then we can just try it out. So we're going to send this message to our FME. So if I come back to here, we're going to get a notification in a second. There it is. That little alerts come back to it. So basically all we're showing you guys there is how easy it is to send notifications to FME Server, or sorry, to a mobile device from FME servers.
Yeah, and REST API or Transformer. That's a really good quick demo. And
oh, you got another poll question.
We're gonna go with another poll. Now that you've seen ways to send out notifications, mobile and also email and different ways, what are you interested in?
Yeah. And the key thing on that mobile stuff, we showed you a device ID there. You're going to want to create a subscription manager there to be able to load all the devices into, say, a database table that you would pull from, and then you could send out to all those devices. So it's pretty powerful and very easy, slick to set up.
Yeah, and the certificate that you had there works specifically with our alerts app.
That's right.
Alerts app.
Yeah, if we come very quickly back to here, we'll show you here. You can show the results.
Okay, I think we're going to close the poll and share the results. And no surprise, people want to email. That's the kind of the unit of sharing information. So there we go. I think we'll wrap up now.
So I'm just going to go back here. And unfortunately, it's not showing.
Okay, I think we'll.
So there's an FME Alerts app, anyways, on the iPhone App Store. We also have a Google Apps that you can use to do some testing on it. So we're running up to the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. So
we're just going to wrap up, but basically that's the end of the demos. We want you to know that you can go and see tutorials and demos. Everything we've showed today, you can get off of FMEpedia, and we're showing kind of a page for that there. And Stephanie chatted.
she chatted that earlier. That's right.
Also, we got training coming up, online instructor-led training. Those dates: May, July, September, November. So lots of training opportunities. Technical webinars. So we're going to have 3 more of this type of webinar, this deep dive. Maybe we'll be a little bit slower and a little less clicky, and maybe louder in the volume.
Yeah.
But those are coming up. And okay, so this is whew.
All right. So that was an hour of us gabbing on there, pretty much, and so now it's time for you guys to interact with us, and we really hope that you guys have some questions. I know there was a question earlier on in the show about being able to send out an attachment to an email.
Yes.
So we didn't cover that.
And we can show that very easily. Okay, I'm going to sort by the hands up. So how does this work? Well, you put your hand up under the attendees if you want to ask a question. Otherwise, we're going to show ourselves. I guess we'll show us on the webcam.
All right, so let's just pop that up.
And show Dean as well. And if there are no questions, then we'll just start getting Dean to fire off some questions. But the first one, yeah, we can show that first one. Open up any one of those workspaces that had the email generator, and it will.
Let's go. Oh gosh. Let's go to the folder. Hey Dean, you're on there live now. I think we can hear you.
Hey guys.
How is it for questions? Is there anything you want to fire off at us?
Well, somebody was earlier was asking about how FME Server can send email attachments. I know we had like links or URLs, but if FME Server can have an attachment in its response.
Absolutely, and we have a transformer here. It's available off the FME store, where you can actually just put in your attachments and make it comma separated for each one you want, and that will send out. What does it do underneath the hood? If we open up that custom transformer, looked at it, it creates some JSON with a list, and each element of the list is an attachment. So, but I would just use this transformer, this FME Server email generator transformer. It's that green one that Steve's got the properties open for. That'll be the easiest bet for you. Yeah.
All right. So, do we have any questions coming in down below?
No.
Oh, SP1. Yeah, I think it's actually out tomorrow. That's the plan, right? That's the last I heard. So we're hoping that's going to be released tomorrow. We had intended to be targeting today, but I know some of the people in the audience might have heard rumors that it was coming out on the 25th, but it's been pushed to the 26th. Okay, so yeah, we did cover a lot of material today. We did go pretty quickly. We apologize for those who may be brand new to FME and just were very interested in this automation side of it. It would have been a lot for a new person to take in.
For a new person.
Yeah, so it was a deep dive. It's typically, kind of focused towards people who are quite familiar with FME, maybe not so familiar with the new functionality that we have in 2014. So we definitely invite you guys to follow up with us if you're intrigued with some of the things, the features we've shown you, but just want to know a bit more about it. Please get in touch with us. We can take you back to the PowerPoint here and just slide it over to the next one. And you guys got some contact information there that you can reach out to us. And we certainly invite you to contact us directly or through our sales portal. So yeah, so we're pretty quiet on the questions.
There was another quick question about FME Cloud support for Azure, which
we can work with Azure. Well, actually, that's a Microsoft product, so
yeah.
FME Cloud wouldn't be able to read from it.
No, it wouldn't be able to read from it. Well,
I know that for SQL Server we can't, and that pretty much I think limits Azure. Yeah.
Well, Azure is a cloud format, so it's just right now it's pretty much what's out there for their API and how we can work with it from the Linux box.
Yes.
So that's the key thing you got to remember. I don't know if that's well known, but the FME Cloud is based on Linux, so it does limit some of those known formats or well-known, well-used formats.
Yeah. No, there's no. Microsoft Access, I don't think.
No.
FME Cloud.
No.
There's another good question about what can be done in terms of sort of like real-time event stuff with desktop, so not including server.
Yeah, like there are some things you can do for real time. You can monitor a TCP/IP port and filter that off to a JMS. You can do that kind of stuff just with desktop alone. Generally, people publish that up to server and then have it run automatically on the server and have emailing. I know is one question a lot of people have. That can be done through server only, really. You can use Python to do it from desktop, but then you're kind of out in the Python world, and we talk less about that.
Yeah.
Dean,
And there's
a question for you here, Dean.
Yeah, I was just thinking
any intention to implement a sensor observation service, OGC support?
Yeah, funny you should ask. I have played around with that a bit. That kind of uses, it's a different topic, one that we have a topic on with in the FME World Tour in terms of our OGC service support. But basically, we have a new approach using a service broker workspace that handles OGC messages and delivers the OGC responses, and so I set up sort of a simple test case for SOS that uses that approach. So basically, you build your web service using a workspace, and that can be virtually any web service, but it fits well with a lot of the OGC ones. And so I've done kind of a basic web service for both WFS and SOS, so people can contact me if they want more info.
Maybe it was just us.
Maybe it was just us. We did lose you, Dean, for maybe 10 seconds there. That could be that already mentioned web.
Yeah, a bit of a glitch going on. Yeah, we'll get an FMEpedia article up about our sort of web service broker approach to OGC services. We'll have something up in the next couple weeks.
We lost you again.
Oh, I think somebody doesn't want people to find out about our approach to OGC services. So I could see.
But I think FMEpedia article, I think Dean, you were trying to say, is going to be coming on to FMEpedia soon. So, all right. So, okay. So we had another question there, kind of more technical, which is exciting. Jerome Parkin should I don't know if he wanted to be mentioned, but he has been. Is there a list of default ports for WebSockets IMAPs that you can send our IT? It will take months for them to open them on our FME server, though. That's a good technical question. And
yeah, IMAP would be. It would depend on your. That would be something you would ask your IT department. Say, what is our IMAP port? There are some defaults, but that's the question for your IT department. In terms of WebSockets, 7078 I think is the main one there. And you can see that as soon as you open up the Steve will open up the notification page there, and it's the default there. So that would be the main one. Yeah. This one. And it might have been a little far away there, but yeah, for IMAP, contact your IT department, ask them which port is IMAP. Just any.
Oh, the transformer, the WebSocket one you're saying?
No, yeah, that would work, but I was thinking the notification service page. Will it default?
Yeah, will it default?
Okay.
Yeah, 78. Yeah, the IMAP, if it's secured, 465, and what's the other? The 25 is the unsecured IMAP.
Well, that's SMTP.
IMAP yes, that's right. Yeah.
I think 883 is the default for IMAP. But again, it depends on your provider. So
yeah, it can be anything pretty much.
Check with IT, and to be honest, that will probably maybe open already. So you may be able to directly connect to IMAP without any kind of, because it's outbound to that email server, and as long as that's okay, probably going to be okay with the IMAP. The WebSockets, yes, it would be 7078.
Yeah. And we got another technical question there related to, is there an external non-FME way to find out if FME server is receiving email? I don't know how that would function. We do have the new monitoring service in FME Server 2014, which actually didn't show. If you're not on 2014, this may be a benefit to you. But essentially, in here we're hoping to show this. But basically, you can pick what topics you want to monitor. And with that, then you'll start seeing that stuff coming in here live. So that can be helpful for debugging that sort of stuff.
Kind of a debugging testing stage, really.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so some couple good questions there.
Yeah.
Well, Michael's saying we've gone quiet again.
Uh-oh.
Hopefully we're back on. So I'll just that again. Yeah, so there's a question related to being able to a non-FME way of seeing if it's receiving email, and I'm not familiar with the way other than looking at the log files and this topic monitoring that we can do now.
Yeah, I mean, if it's receiving email, I guess you could have the workspace send out a notification or record something, but yeah, you'd have to have something on the topic that did something with that incoming message.
Yeah, and I mean, we take that email and we do put the files locally and stuff like that. I don't know, you're pretty involved to kind of, you could watch a folder, see if email attachments are being ripped off, and watch log files to see if
log files or something like that.
Yeah, so
really our goal is to make sure that a non-FME way, I don't really think there's a...
No, it's a good question.
Yeah.
All right.
Testing to see if
the workspace is triggered by email.
The WebSocket is triggered by the email.
WebSocket or web services?
Probably maybe web service.
Yeah, web service.
Oh, workspace.
Oh, it's just the workspace. Okay, yeah. So no, essentially that monitoring service would definitely tell you if the topic got hit, and then from there you should see a related job running from that, and that would just be in the well, depending on how you've got it configured.
Maybe through the REST API, you could check the jobs that
status,
have been sent, and what's the email. No, it's not sent in. The topic would be on the parameters, so you could possibly check the job and then check the parameters for that job, and if that contained the topic where the email is sending to, then that would be one way. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good question.
Yeah. And our goal is for that to just work. So,
yes.
Let us know if it's not. We want to work on that and make it better.
All right. Well, we still got a pretty decent crowd hanging around here, so we got another 3 minutes of time. So if anybody's got some more questions, don't be shy. We can unmute you and get you talking to us. I'd love to get someone on here.
Yeah, there's one person. I questioned earlier on. If you put wait to complete equal to yes, use the same engine. The technical workings of that are, if it's set to yes, it uses a different process, an FME.exe process, which doesn't require an engine. So it's not. It's kind of a hybrid where the engine is licensed and it runs as a normal thing, normal engine that you'd expect, but that child workspace just runs through FME.exe. Very similar to how parallel processing, when you're running a workspace, fires off child workspace or child processes. That's what that transformer does. It goes, okay, I'm set to wait. I'm going to fire off a child process.
But that doesn't consume a license.
And it doesn't consume a license.
That's the change.
And to clarify, if people are curious on the task manager, the FME worker exe, that's from the parallel processing, or?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we're safe to sign off. We again thank you, and I hope for those who stayed with us that they enjoyed the content they got today, and maybe have some new ideas of what they want to implement with FME Server in their own shops. And please contact us for any more help. Yep.
Yeah, thanks
a lot.
for all the good questions, and thanks for your time.
All right, signing off. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.